Mm, yummy. Hello, welcome. Let me introduce myself for those of you that are new. My name is Odelia Hernandez Underwood. I'm a board certified nurse coach, cannabis nurse consultant, and educator. I came about becoming a nurse coach because I was like, oh my gosh, how do I get away from the bedside or touching people? Well, even like before that, um, I was tired of being at the bedside. I was tired of working for somebody else. I have a chronic illness. I have lupus, and I needed to get away from all the stress and the sickness. And I was like drained and burnout. But before I completely left the bedside, which was actually very recently, I've let go completely. No more PRN. Um, I did get to a point where I enjoyed coming to work, although I didn't believe in what I was doing. So I really wanted to move towards something that I had a passion to do. I really feel like once people get into the hospital, it's not too late, but we need to get to a level where we're preventing these serious illnesses, and we lack that in our healthcare system. We want people to go show up to work sick or fine, or and if they are sick, we give them a hard time, and it's just it's all very exhausting. And if you don't have to play a part of the game to work for somebody else, I highly suggest you don't. Moms that want to spend time with their children, people who have debilitating anxiety or whatever it is. Sometimes, the traditional workforce is just not for us, and it definitely wasn't for me, even though, nursing is not necessarily traditional. It is 24/7, and there's like so many different types of nursing you can do. So, I mean, I absolutely am grateful for having been a nurse, and getting all the knowledge and experiences that I had, or that I do have, as a nurse, because I can take that with me always. But I don't necessarily need those letters behind my name, just like the moms who are fighting for their kids, that are really sick, and they would like to use cannabis as an alternative. I feel like you're gonna look for the answer, whatever that may be. If that's the goal. You want something that works. You want to feel good. You want your kids to live. You want your kids to function. So then you do a deep dive, right? Like you do a deep dive because you don't know. You're like, whatever this isn't working. And you get, I got to a point where I was like, I'm done doing the things I'm supposed to be doing, and still not getting, the results kind of that I wanted, because it was mostly side effects with pharmaceuticals. And then in the long term of using those pharmaceuticals, we make ourselves sick because they have adverse side effects, long-term side effects. If you're not taking them the way you're supposed to, that can have side effects. A big medication that I was taking were like non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, which are basically like your Motrins, your Aleve, naproxen, ibuprofen, aspirin, those types of medications. If you take them like every day, which I was taking them every day to function, I had a lot of unhealed trauma in my body, which manifested itself in like bone spurs. I was on my feet a lot. I was just constantly in motion and on the go, and fucking tense, like just so tense in my fucking body, like, oh my God. And then holding all of the bullshit down, like not speaking up, not being who I truly am authentically, like holding that in, like playing a part, playing a role, basically. I feel like you don't really get to set yourself free until you can be you 100% authentically, all the time. And I use cannabis all the time, so it's really hard for me to like play in the matrix and function. It's not that I would prefer to take cannabis or use cannabis than take naproxen every day to function, to get up and do my laundry, or get up and, not feel all these aches and pains. With cannabis, I don't feel those aches and pains, and I don't have the side effects of, if I don't eat when I take my naproxen, then I could possibly cause, GI bleeding or GI upset, and which I already had, from anxiety more than likely, and it's manifesting it in like IBS, where I can get real deep and dirty about all the things that I was experiencing, and I was on one medication after the other to treat that symptom, to treat the other symptom, my bladder, my gut, my headaches, my mental health, antidepressants, ADD medication, Adderall, it was allergy medication because I was constantly upper respiratory infections, and just fucking medication after medication. Sudafed because I can't get like Allegra D or some kind of Zyrtec D on the formulary, so I'd have to take 2 different pills, and then it was too much. It was a lot, and in the end I was like more sick than not, I believe. And I didn't really get serious about it until I saw that my kidneys, I had protein in my urine, and my kidneys are getting bad. And then instead of like preventative measures or what can I do to, let's add another pill, I'll play along. I tried, and it's too much. So I moved to cannabis, and I feel like I'm more authentic in myself now, because what I'm doing is not wrong. Like if that's what you feel, then I'm not for you. But it's science. We have an endocannabinoid system that is the regulator of all of your systems. It regulates all of your systems, the nervous system. It has that. It's in your gut. There's receptor sites that are all over your body. It helps with your immune system. I mean, like, come on. So the whole point of your endocannabinoid system is to put you into homeostasis. And homeostasis is just a fancy schmancy fucking word for being like at balance, or you're being in like flow state more than anything. Because I had a conversation with somebody today about balance, and what the fuck is balance, right? But being at your like flow, your optimal, even your optimal level of operation, right? Like, how can I get to there? And I don't think we can't be at our optimal level of functioning for whatever reason. Oh, we're getting old. I don't have time. And you get overwhelmed with all this shit. You don't take care of yourself, and you prioritize maybe the wrong things. Like for me, number one, I have to say my health is my wealth. This is a fucking divine creation by God, and I must honor this body, and I want to fucking feel good. And I fucking feel good when I'm using cannabis, and I fucking feel good when I'm meditating, and these are all the things. So I wanted to get off those fucking pills, and I had to find like my secret sauce, right? Because it's not just weed. It's not just cannabis that's making me feel better. It's the meditation. It's the moving of the body. It's, alpha brainwave stimulation. It's sound healing. It's being in nature, grounding yourself, doing something fun, learning something new, changing your mindset. So all of those things, you have to like work together. But I will say that the one thing cannabis has allowed me to do is to look at it at a whole holistic perspective, and it heals not just physically but mentally, and you're like my anxiety. And then it definitely, once you get into that state where you're like, gosh, I feel good, I can go walk, I can go exercise, I want to move, like I want to laugh, like, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's all fucking medicine. That's laughing, hugging, wanting to be in a social setting. That's all, healing. And we neglect that, and that's why I feel like that's another reason why we get sick. Anyhow, I came upon this journey, and I came to a place where I was like, I don't want to take these pills anymore, and I got to do it my own way, because there's really not anybody there to help me do it, in Nebraska at least. And so in doing that, that's what I want to do. I want to help people, if it's using nutraceuticals, if it's, you know, whatever hasn't tried. You want to find the secret sauce, right? Your secret sauce, because nobody has, like, Karen can't do what fucking Joe is doing. You know, Martha can't do what Sue is doing, because we're all very individualized, just the way cannabis is very individualized for every person. We all have our individualized, you know, programming that will flip a switch, and you will come into your own, and you're an elevated human being, whether that's on plant medicine, using, you know, changing your mindset, or, you know, lifestyle changes. It's just incorporating all of those things into one. You know, when you excel in one part of your life, sometimes your other parts of your life tend to falter. So, and kind of, you know, what block or resistance do you have when all of the pillars of your life aren't necessarily where you want them to be? You know where you want them to be, and then you're at that point in your life, you're asking yourself, how do I do this? And then you continue on the path of, like, okay, I'm doing the same thing again, and I gotta get off this fucking hamster wheel, right? I can't do the same thing and expect a different outcome. And we get really comfortable in where we are, and when we try to elevate ourselves, sometimes our body is like, whoa, what the fuck, we're so used to this cortisol, bitch, slow down. No, and you get anxious, like even trying to meditate. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't sit here and do this anymore. This is, you know, a whole, you know, and it's not even that. Do it for a fucking minute. I'm gonna be quiet. Try to slow down my thoughts. And it's wild to feel safe and calm. And that's what cannabis does for me. And there is, like, my rant. I was trying to get on here and just say, hey, a little bit about me. And I want to be here for people who choose cannabis over pharmaceuticals. I want to be here for those, you know, maybe there's a gap in between your provider or your mental health professional. I mean, because I would almost, like, get into arguments with my, you know, like, social worker, mental health therapist, because I'd be like, I'm not taking those fucking pills. And she'd be like, well, you gotta take your pills so you can feel better. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna smoke weed, and that's what makes me feel better. And it was more like, you know, it's too bad, so sad, it's illegal. And I'm like, well, it's, you know, it's making me better. It's the thing that is making me a functional member of society, you know, and wanting to pursue more things. And that's, you know, I feel like that's like the therapeutic level. Some of us may misuse, it doesn't even have to be weed. You can misuse sex. You can misuse social media, working out. Even, you know, you could misuse working out. Like, you just have to work out constantly. You know, we have our thing, our vice, you know, to kind of, like, keep everything at bay, like all the anxiety. And it's like, this is, and sometimes it's a good habit, sometimes it's a bad habit, but then, like, all the other things are out of whack, you're out of balance. So I dare to say that the endocannabinoid system is more at balance, you know, when you start doing all the things, and it just comes together really beautifully in the spiritual aspect. Once, you know, maybe I was afraid to go into, like, the spiritual side of plant medicine, but intentionally making that intention of, this is divine, sacred plant medicine that my ancestors used to commune with God. I mean, that to me was profound, and took my healing on a whole nother level. And I definitely don't think you can have healing physically without having it spiritually. So I'm here for the woo-woo, and sometimes for us people that believe in weird shit, right? How do we tell our providers or our doctors, like, so I like to talk to my ancestors, and I, you know, like, pray to the moon and the sun, and my angels and my, like, higher, you know, like, I call them my higher council, basically. They're, you know, my spirit guides, all that stuff. Like, it's kind of hard to be like, and I hear God's voice. Like, And of course, you know, people are like, what the fuck, you hear God's voice, you hear voices. Yeah, I fucking hear God's voice when I'm on plant medicine. So, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. So I don't give a fuck. Like, that's what I do. You know, for those of us who are in the woo-woo and are having a hard time, you know, like having those conversations with your family, your providers, whatever, you know, I'm here for all of you, okay? Like, I will answer questions. I want to share my story. I think stories speak volumes way more than, you know, all the nerdy educational stuff that I can geek out on all day. So yeah, just, you know, how I managed to go from 12 pills to none. I think I'm on a week 3 or 4. And I'm going strong. If anything, I feel even more elevated than ever and connected to God, with all the wonderful things that are happening in my life. And it's just making kind of like that decision and knowing in divine timing, like, you know, maybe I wasn't ready before and now I'm ready to jump all in, you know, and leaning and feeling safe. I don't, that's really hard, I think, for women to do, is feel safe. So when you're in a safe space, you thrive. Like women, like you're going to thrive if you feel safe. So there's my story. I'm sticking to it. If I was ranting around and whatever, you know, it's because I don't have the, you know, I'm not like, I don't have access to all the good cannabises and where I can pick and choose to see which one works the best for me. And, you know, that's a whole nother story. Anyways, thank you so much. I hope you get to know me a little more after listening to me rant for forever. Yeah, hit me up if you have any questions or you want to chat. Or you have some special awesome story you want to share about your journey with cannabis. That, I mean, it deserves to be heard. It's miraculous if it brought you back to life. You know, that you don't have to show your face. I just want to get people's voices out there because we still act like this is some horrible fucking devil lettuce drug. And there's very highly functional people, and there's a lot of people in the canna closet, right? So if you are willing to share your story, or you want to get on and share your story and fucking spark up, let's fucking go. I am down for that shit, because we would have some amazing conversations being stoned and talking about our healing journey. I mean, it'd be a whole nother a whole nother podcast episode, is, you know, sparking up and talking the healing journey for show, faux show, okay? And that's I'm here for that. I'm here for that. Safe space, and yeah, safe space. No judgment. Let's go. Let's fucking level up. All right. So I'm here. I'm here for that. And we got to share a story. You got to let people know what fucking cannabis has done for you, because it is a plant of the gods. You know, she is God essence herself, Mary Jane. So, I'm obsessed, and I feel like I got to preach the gospel. I got to let everybody know in her name, Mary Jane. And, you know, honestly, like, if that's the thing that connects me to God every fucking day, why am I not allowed to fucking use it? That's my spiritual practice. So get the fuck out of here. Don't tell me how to connect to God. Thanks.